America has a lot of opportunities. There's opportunities everywhere. And this country gives them to you like, it's like coins sitting on the street. And it's literal because when we lived by a Kmart, and every Saturday or Sunday afternoon, we would go by the Kmart walk, and my kids would pick up pennies on the street that nobody had, people had thrown away. And literally, that's an opportunity for a kid coming out of Kenya, 4-year-old, they see a penny, a shiny one, they'll pick it up. But the thing is, America has a lot of opportunities. You just have to figure out which one it is. Now, there are some good ones and some bad ones. Some that are making money overnight schemes. But you have to analyze and figure out which one is for you.
Are you confident? Do you have consistency? How much conviction do you have? I'm Daniel Gomez, the Confidence Architect, a business strategist, keynote speaker, executive coach, and best-selling author. On the Daniel Gomez Inspire Show, we will help you unlock confidence to create consistency and develop conviction. Together, we will discover the key that unlocks your confidence. Welcome back to another episode of the Daniel Gomez Inspire Show. It's a beautiful morning, and I am just returning from Asia. And what better opportunity to have another guest from on the other side of the world that really has inspired me. She is just a powerful woman, and just some of the challenges that she's overcome, not just in her personal life, but in her business, in every aspect. She's the true meaning of inspiration for me. I've had the pleasure of knowing this wonderful coach, this wonderful human being for many years now. And she doesn't know it, but she means a lot to me. I know sometimes we don't say it enough, but I want to welcome to the Daniel Gomez Inspire Show, Miss Munira Zahabi. How you doing, Miss Munira?
Hello, Daniel. Greetings from Chicagoland.
Chicagoland. Well, those that don't know you, Miss Munira Zahabi, she's also known as a Niche Navigator. She helps a lot of coaches find their niche and navigate themselves to success. And I love that because she's a true meaning to me of success. I know a lot of her personal story, and we'll probably get into some of that, but just the fact that she is one of the most resilient women that I've met, that never gives up, and she always seems a way to smile. So I know who you are, Miss Munira, the Niche Navigator, but tell the world, now you're on the Podcast of the Year. We won Podcast of the Year just past. I got the message when I was in Asia. So let the Daniel Gomez Inspire Show audience know, who is Munira Zahabi?
I am a strategist, influencer, motivational speaker, an author, a podcaster as well. Very many hats, but I love people. I just love people, and I'm curious about them, and I want everybody to succeed.
Yes, and I could say you definitely wanted. I would say your heart is true in that. You definitely want people to succeed. I'd see you on different platforms, just interacting, networking, helping people out. You said about 6 or 7 things. Which one or two is your favorite?
All of them. Any of them, if I didn't like. As the navigator, you have to figure out what your niche is. My niche is working with people. I love people. I've been a curious personality. And so to reach people, I can either write a book, I can either influence them, I can motivate them by speaking, I can podcast and show them that I care. So all those things, right?
Yes, as a matter of fact, you do care, because you've had your podcast a lot longer than I had mine, and I was able to be on your show. Actually, when my first book, it's already been 3 years ago. Can you believe that? Those memories come up on Facebook, and I was like, wow, it's already been 3 years.
My podcast, Munira's Musings, is going to go into its 300th episode soon.
300 already?
Oh, yeah, 300th episode. I'm very, very excited about that.
Well, let me ask you this, because I learn a lot from my guests on my show. And tell the audience right now, what are 2 things that you've learned that have really impacted your life and your business, that have really helped you from just guests that were on your show that you took away from your guests? Tell us a couple of things about that, if you don't mind.
Most of the people that come on the show, my show talks about niches. How did they find yours, and what struggles did you have to endure or overcome to get to where you are? And we just talk about that, right? I mean, there's no set segment, but everybody that has come on the show has said one thing, either in different ways, but one thing is start, right? The fear is there, but just start. That's one thing. And the second one that I am learning since last year, I started learning was the fact that most people don't know how to live in the moment. So live in the moment.
Yeah, I love that. You know, this is a part of the episode where I want to tell my audience, this is time you got to get a pen and paper out. I truly believe that something magical happens when you put pen to paper. So get out your notepad, get out your pen, because Munira is going to drop some wisdom bombs, and I want you to write it down. And something that she just said right now is powerful. She just said, just start, Munira, right? Just start. If half the people would just start instead of thinking and thinking and thinking and thinking of the perfect plan and just start, boom, they would be more successful than when they are right now. Do you agree with that? Yes or no?
You know, I'll tell you one thing. I do agree with you, but here's the thing. Over years, when I first came to America, and then, you know, I heard this phrase, think outside the box, think outside the box. First of all, I never saw the box. I didn't know where it was. So that was another thing. And then the second one was like, why am I thinking outside the box? If you really want to do something, just do it outside the box. So yes, I come with the theory that we as people have created these boxes for ourselves. When you are conceived, a person is conceived, they're in a box. When they are little, they're put in this bassinet, if you will, it's a box. And then the baby starts crawling, you put them in a box so that they don't crawl everywhere. Then as they grow up, they become in a classroom, in a cubicle, and we just keep putting ourselves in a bigger box each time until we die, which is a box again. Right? So instead of living in the box, why don't we just venture out?
I never thought about it like that. Now that you say that, right? We're born in our mother's wombs. Then we're put in a bassinet right after we're born because we got to be kept somewhere as babies. And then once we start to crawl, it's like, let's put this kid in the crib because he's crawling all over the place, or the playpen. And then we go to school and we're put in another. I never thought about it. I thought, wow, see, that's why I love you so much. You have a lot of wisdom. You need to talk more, Munira. You need to talk more. People need to hear your wisdom. I love that. I never thought of that analogy, but you think about it, and by doing that, would you say that we're conditioned just to be in boxes most of our lives?
We condition ourselves. We have stopped thinking for ourselves. We do what the masses do. So people who are entrepreneurs, they break out of this bicycle, this cycle of boxes, and they do things that are flexing the muscle, if you will, because they do things that is just outside the norm. I mean, you look at every entrepreneur out there. There's 7 billion people on the earth, but how many people are entrepreneurs? It's a percentage. So why do they then flex their muscles and not everybody else? It's because they sit and simmer in their own sauce, is what I call it.
Yeah, I love that. Well, let me ask you this. When was there a time when you had to start thinking outside the box, and what did you do to break yourself free from that conditioning that you're talking about? Because we've all been conditioned in some way, whether you grew up in Kenya, in Asia, in Florida, Texas, California. There's always some type of conditioning. Tell us some of the conditioning that you had to overcome that you thought was real, but it really wasn't, in getting your business going.
Living in Kenya, I grew up in Kenya, and then I lived in Tanzania. So my childhood was in Kenya. Then, and my youth, as soon as I turned 15, I was married. I was moved to Tanzania. And I grew up there knowing my teens. I mean, where people climb trees and go out on dates and stuff didn't happen with me. So I was like married off, and you were supposed to take care of the household. And the thought process of people there is, there's nothing out beside this boundary. There's nothing there. And so when I was given a chance to come to the United States, I broke that barrier and said, no, I'm going to do this. Because I was given a chance before, and I didn't take that because of my marriage. So now I have this chance to bring all 4 of my kids to the United States. People said, oh, you can't go, it's too hard. And I said, it's hard here, right? I think sometimes I was born before my time because I'm here. at this time, but I had to break that barrier regardless of what people said. I mean, every point of my life, every point of my life had been a barrier breaker. But we think outside the box all the time. And people who are in a job or in an entrepreneurial business, they do things the same way because everybody before them has done it. What if you stray from the path? Can you find a shortcut? Can you find a more difficult path, but still get to the point of success where you are wanting to go?
Well, let me ask you this, because you said you were presented the opportunity before and you didn't take it. And I think so many of us were presented an opportunity because right now, all around us, there's opportunity everywhere. There's opportunity for growth, for more business, for more opportunities. Opportunity is everywhere. We just don't see it because we're in that box, like you said. What was the difference between the first time you were presented with this opportunity to leave and come to the States and then the second time? What was the difference? Why didn't you do it? And then why did you do it? Tell us that, because I think what you're going to share right now, you're going to help people all over the world right now just really see, wow, if she can do it, I can do it.
Yeah. So the first time I was given the opportunity was when I was 15, just before I got married, to come to UK, England, to go to Cambridge University to study law. But 2 months before I was supposed to leave, I was married off. And this was a decision that I couldn't make on my own because I was 15, I was underage, and these decisions were made by my father and my stepmother. So that I lost that opportunity. Now, 8 years later, when I got this opportunity to come, I was like, no, I'm not living here. I mean, America, in a sense, is the land of freedom. For me, it was just, the grass is greener on the other side. If I'm struggling here, why not there? And the fact that, I was going to be able to give my kids a better opportunity here in this country. Otherwise, they would have followed the same path. My girls would have gotten married at a very young age. And I said, no, I'm going to take this chance. So the first time, I didn't have any say, but it was all about me. The second time, I had the say, but it wasn't about me. It was about my kids. Now I live for my kids. So that's why I brought them here. It's true, when you stop thinking about yourself and you start thinking about others, you impact more lives.
Yes. Say that again. I love that.
When you stop thinking about yourself and you start thinking about others, that's when the impact happens. And that's when things start to shift, because now it's not all about I, it's about
I'm laughing. If people on the podcast can't see me smiling and laughing, but I laugh because I've learned that from you. I never told you that, but I think when I first met you, when I first started speaking and training and just really started taking off, I think I was pretty selfish. And I think you would agree with me. And I don't think you ever told me, but we've had conversations, and I think you probably thought that a couple of times. But I want you to know that I've learned that from you, that the moment I really started getting outside of myself more, because growth happens in stages. And for me, coming back from Asia this past week that I was there for almost 2 weeks, 10-day journey, my heart really changed. And I really got out of myself. And I thought I was pretty good. I thought I was pretty grateful. But I think the biggest mistakes that we make as human beings is that we think that once we reach a level that we're done, right? Once we become this, in our own thinking, a success or whatever that goal is, we get comfortable, or we just think, I'm a pretty loving person, but you can always be more loving. I'm a pretty compassionate person. You can always be more compassionate. And what you just said really resonates with me, because I thought I was pretty grateful, but going to Asia and just seeing behind the scenes how families live, I was like, I have nothing to complain about, Munira.
No, you don't. Because, for the longest time, I told my kids' teachers that they should have a mandatory session where kids of United States, who I think have it all, should go and live and do a semester abroad in one of the third world countries and do an exchange program where you will change your lifestyle, you will change your thinking, because people there do so much more with so little.
Yes, I agree with you on that because my heart is forever changed. So let me ask you this. By this point, you're 23 years old, you have 4 kids, and you're scared, but you still take that leap of faith. Where in your journey did you lose your confidence? Did you say, man, maybe I should have just stayed back at home?
Never. I never lost that confidence because I was working hard over there. I was raising 4 kids. I was a housewife. I was a businesswoman. And I thought, hey, if I can do the same thing and replicate. Now, things are different in the United States, the way the laws work. And I mean, laws have to be obeyed, but everything that is done is different. So you have to learn it, but you have to then pivot, right? I wouldn't be sitting here, but I'll tell you one thing. Let me tell you a story. When I was 6 years old, I was commissioned by my father to do a very important job. I was to be his secretary for the day. I got ready, we got into the car, took a 40-minute ride to the city center to go to the office. And I was so proud of myself because I was 6 and I had a job. You were very important at that time and you had a job. When we got to the office, we walked into the building and we took this old elevator where you had to close it with the manual things, the old elevators. And it was fun because we were never asked to touch those things in case our fingers got caught. But we got out, we went into the office, and my father, we got out of the elevator on the 4th floor, we turned around, came to the office, the door was open. Now, this is a Monday morning. It's never open because my father had closed it. So he gave me his briefcase, pushed me behind him. I took the briefcase and I stood there. He walked in and there was a waiting room which had a few chairs. And beside that, the room that went into the office was open. And there was this old man with silver glasses sitting there. Hardly any hair on his head, his shirt too big for his body. And he looked up above his glasses and he told my dad, "You're late." I don't know what exactly happened, but I was parked in the waiting room, the door was closed, and I could hear heated conversation. Like what seemed like forever, my father comes out, he looks at me like he had forgotten about me, and he just walks out, storms out of the office into the elevator, and I'm running as fast as I can to catch up with him because I don't know what's happening. We went out the building, and where we parked the car was a park. We had passed the park when we came to the office. He found a bench. He sat there, his elbows on his knees, and he started crying. What had happened was he was a general manager for his cousin's company in Nairobi. Nairobi is the capital of Kenya. Mombasa is a sister city in Kenya, which is the coast, and the headquarters of that company were in Mombasa. My dad's cousin had married this gentleman from another country and he needed a job. So just like that, they put they got rid of the cousin and they put the brother-in-law in his place. He had no idea.
Yes.
My father all this time was looking for a position. He was looking for a job because things got bad. And then all of a sudden I'm 6 years old. I can see the tension. I can feel it. But we were never involved in discussions made. Then all of a sudden, my dad comes with an old typewriter that he has to fix. And he comes home and he tells my mom, "This is what I hear." And this is a story he told us over years. And what he said was, "I went for a job to one of my clients and said, 'Give me a job so I can work here to make money.' And the client's dad, the old man, was there. And he told my dad, 'You've been a general manager of this company for how long? For 8 years. Okay, granted they took away your pension and your pay and everything else. They didn't give you anything. But they didn't take away what you have.' So my mother always told me, knowledge to learn before you grow old. It's better than silver and gold.
Yes.
Acquainted knowledge will never decay.
Yes. That's a powerful story because how many times have we been fired or let go or we lose a big contract as an entrepreneur and it sucks the life out of us. That's what happened to your dad. It sucked the life out of us. And then instead of really just having that confidence in what you have learned and what God has taught you, you settle for something less.
Yes.
So your dad was settling for something less. And by divine appointment, he met this gentleman and said, stop settling for less because you're worth more than that. And I love that because I think right now, as the whole world is going through change and growth and really just a whole different paradigm of living has come upon us in this whole world, whether you're in the America or in Kenya or in Asia, it's like you got to remember that don't undervalue who you are. You might have lost your position. You might have lost a big contract, but the knowledge that you have obtained is still with you.
Still with you. And my father 2 months to figure that out. And what he did was, right, so now you're asking me how you have to change. What you have to do is he looked at the business he had created in Nairobi, and he was the mastermind for the business, right? So what he did was he pivoted, went to the clients before and went to different clients and said, I can get you things that I can work with you. And he didn't go for the same industry that his cousin was doing, but he took his own business to a different level because he pivoted. And sometimes you just have to do that. So in organized planning of Think and Grow Rich, Napoleon Hill says you have to have a clear plan. And if it doesn't work, go create another plan, go create another plan, go create another plan till it works. Yes. And that's what my father did. When he died 32 years later, his company was still going, and he had created a mini empire, but it was working.
Well, let me ask you this. Let's do a little shift here. What did you learn about yourself when you came to America? Because I can imagine a transition. It's a big transition coming from one country to another country, much less coming as a mother with 4 children. What did you learn about yourself in that season of life?
America has a lot of opportunities. There's opportunities everywhere. And this country gives them to you it's like coins sitting on the street. And it's literal because when we lived by a Kmart, and every Saturday or Sunday afternoon, we would go by the Kmart walk, and my kids would pick up pennies on the street that nobody had, people had thrown away. And literally, that's an opportunity for a kid coming out of Kenya, 4-year-old, they see a penny, a shiny one, they'll pick it up. But the thing is, America has a lot of opportunities. You just have to figure out which one it is. Now, there are some good ones and some bad ones. Some that are making money overnight schemes. But you have to analyze and figure out which one is for you.
Yes. So let me ask you this. Do you think that, because when I sit back and I look at people, I see people that come in from other parts of the world, other countries. And so many times I think as Americans, it's like we miss it because we're so, I guess our vision gets jaded because we see it every day. And then somebody else comes in and they become an overnight success to say, and then next thing you know, in 2 or 3 years, they have a very thriving business making a couple of 100,000 a year. Then they take it to $500,000. Then before you know it, within 5 or 10 years, they're millionaires. And people that have lived here their whole lives, we have that same opportunity, but we don't see it. Why do you think that is? How can somebody come in from another country and really just be a success story? And then we have that same opportunity here, but so many Americans just live in poverty. Why do you think that is, Munira?
They say that most people become millionaires when during a state of crisis. That happened when the Great Depression happened. That happened in 2008. It's happening right now because most people don't know how to see opportunity. Yes. Somebody coming from a third world country is not afraid to work hard. They will stand up to anything and they will work. I worked 4 jobs at one time. At any given time, I had 4 jobs. And it worked because, it helped me shape who I was. And it helped me shape my kids because opportunities are there if you want to take it. Most people would not work the night shift in the pharmacy because, nobody wanted to miss their programs, or nobody worked Super Bowl Sunday, or nobody worked Christmas. Well, I worked those. And guess what? There was less work, more time to read or do something else. and shape yourself in that quiet atmosphere. Most people don't do that. Most people like the 9 to 5 hustle bustle, and that's why they miss the opportunities.
So what did you learn about yourself in this whole season of transitioning?
I can acclimate to any temperature, any climate given to me.
I love that. Woo, boom, baby. I can acclimate to any temperature or climate given to me. That's powerful. How many people can actually say that out there listening to this podcast show? Can you acclimate to any climate or temperature? That's easier said than done before you say yes. To acclimate to any temperature and any climate, it's not an easy thing to do because I think most of our times people don't acclimate because our ego and our pride gets in the way.
And it's also entitlement. People entitled to things.
Yeah, entitlement, right? We think we're owed it, and because you think we're owed it, it's you miss those opportunities. Man, well, let me ask you this: what makes Munira Zahabi distinctive? What makes her unique in life?
There's only one Munira Zahabi in the world. So that's number one. Number two, like I said, I can acclimate. You put me in a job situation, I'll take care of it. You put me in a entrepreneurship, I'll take care of me. And the fact that I love people, I just want to help people. That's me. That's why I became the Niche Navigator. And then the other thing is I see people's potential where they don't see it.
Yes, I love that. You see people's potential where they don't see it. I would agree with you because I think most people, even with my own coaching clients, as human beings, we focus on the bad. We focus on the negative part. We focus on the problem. And I think when you focus on the good and you see the good in people, you see more opportunities in that. And instead of seeing the good, most of us, or many of us, I'll say, see the bad in situations and see the bad in people. And when we learn to focus and see the good in everyone, I think there's more opportunity that's created because it's like you said, there's so much goodness around us. We just don't see it because we focus on what's wrong many times.
Is to be grateful for what you have, right? When I came to United States and I got my own apartment, I lived in a home for 7 years in Dar es Salaam, and the building was not completed. Now, if that building was in the United States, the old man who owned the building would be in jail because it was not up to code. But they were building the building while we were living there. I with my 4 kids and my husband, and then there was an old man. He lived there. And then they would build more floors as the man found money, right?
Yes.
When I first got my apartment here and Judy, the apartment manager, showed me, there's a dishwasher and there's the sink, I started crying. And she goes, did I say something wrong? I don't know what I said. And I said, no, this is a complete house. It's an apartment, 2-bedroom apartment. But I started crying. It was completed, right? I didn't have stuff. I had done the wiring, electricity wiring myself in my old house. This was a completed home.
Yes.
That's a 2-bedroom apartment, but it was completed. And that's what it is. Most people don't see what they have. They start focusing on what they don't have.
Say that again. I love that. Say that again. I love that quote right there. That's a good one. That's a good write that down. They need to write that down. Say that again, please.
People focus on what they don't have instead of focusing on what they have.
And I can say I've been guilty of that myself, right? I like being real. I don't sugarcoat nothing myself. And I believe that the blessing comes when you're honest with yourself. Is sometimes I tend, not so much now, but I think when I was younger, we focus on what we don't have instead of focusing on what we do have. And that's ingratitude. And I think ingratitude keeps many people from going to the next level in their life and their business. So let me ask you this. What has kept you so consistent? Because I know you've had challenges, you've lost some loved ones. And I think when most people would have given up and quit, you haven't. You've been consistent. You've just been that constant, right? Moving forward. And the good thing is you never stop moving forward. So talk to us about consistency. What keeps you consistent, Munira?
Consistency for me is sanity. My last 2.5 years were very, very challenging. My husband got sicker and he passed away this January. And it's hard, right? Most people live in grief. But I had to pivot myself out of this because I knew that it's not like he went for a job to another state and he's going to come back 3 weeks later. It's not going to happen. But instead of then again simmering in my own sauce, why can't I just do something that helps me be creative, understand people? Because what has now happened is I show up, but even though I have scars, I don't show my scars, but I show up because I know how people feel. I know what they're going through. So pain is part of the process and you grow through pain, but you have to keep consistent because you want to be safe. Otherwise, you would go into a form of depression and anxiety and all of that. And that's not for me. I'm not ready to take any of those drugs, if you will.
Well, as we're coming towards the end of the episode, I want to ask you, what's a quote that keeps you going or a word of wisdom that you would love to share with the audience?
Most people are anxious to improve their circumstances. They are not anxious to improve themselves. This is a quote by James Allen in his book, As the Man Thinketh. And it's very close to me because I get people who want to change and they complain and they complain. Let me ask you something. You know, changing from what you do right now is not easy. It's difficult. But it's also taking uncomfortable action. So by taking uncomfortable action, you become comfortable. So I'm going to ask all your challengers, I'm going to challenge all your listeners and ask them to do one thing. Is you want to do something and you are fearful about the fact that you're not sure how this is going to happen. I challenge you to stand the next time you go into take a shower, stand under a cold shower. Next time you want to shower or you take the shower, stand under a cold shower. Now you live in Texas, so it's warm over there. But we in Chicago, it's cold water. So you stand under the cold shower until you become acclimated to the water and the temperature. The reason is you are taking uncomfortable action. And in 10 minutes or less, you will be feeling good that you did that because one, cold water will invigorate your nerves and shock you into action. And two, every time you feel that you are not ready to do something, just go take a cold shower. You'll be ready.
Woo! Boom, baby. I love that. Man, you just dropped some wisdom here today. Where do we find the Niche Navigator at? How can we get a hold of you, Munira?
The nichenavigator.com.
The nichenavigator.com. I can see it over your head. I just saw that right now. So, Munira, thank you so much for spending time with us. This was an amazing, amazing interview. Thank you so much. I've learned a lot of wisdom from you. And if you like what Munira said, please go to Facebook and join our Distinctive Syndicate group. We have a lot of content where we talk about personal growth, self-improvement, and just inspiration for all levels, whether it's business or life. Because if you're an entrepreneur, you are, right? Your life is your business. And if you're stuck, we'll help you get unstuck there. So we'd love for you to join our community on Distinctive Syndicate. And also coming up here, March 5th and 6th in San Antonio, Texas, we're going to have our second annual Sticker Shock Speaking Academy, where we already have many of our students getting paid to speak. So if you want to get paid to speak, join us here March 5th and 6th in San Antonio, Texas. Send me an email at daniel@danielgomezspeaker.com. We would love for you to be part of our amazing, amazing Sticker Shock Speaking Academy, which is already changing lives all over the world. So have an amazing day. And once again, that's a wrap for this week's session, this week's episode of the Daniel Gomez Inspires Show. Thank you for joining us. This is Daniel Gomez, and thank you so much for tuning into our show today. We'd love your feedback. Please drop us a comment, and thank you for leaving us a review. Don't forget to subscribe to our show and share this episode with a friend. And my free gift for listening to our show today is a copy of my best-selling book, You Were Born to Fly. To get your free copy, go to danielgomezinspires.com and get your copy today. That's danielgomezinspires.com. And to elevate your life and business even more, follow me on social media at Daniel Gomez Inspires on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and YouTube. Together, we will discover the key that unlocks your confidence.